he is, God, he has got so much damn potential.
He definitely does.
So much potential.
But he comes back from every fight that he's had better, you know? I mean, when one of the most impressive ones was he knocked out Klitschko. Oh my God.
Klitschko's seen better days.
Another inconsistency in Anthony Joshua. I now understand, I believe having watched this, where Jake Paul is getting his confidence from. How he's built this narrative in his head that he genuinely has a chance. I think the thing to remember here, though, is that Anthony Joshua doesn't struggle against all smaller fighters.
This might be his last fight, getting in there with Anthony Joshua and getting knocked out.
Joe Rogan and Mike Tyson just shocked the boxing world with their breakdown of Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua. Tyson warned that AJ must stay disciplined because Jake isn't even close to his level. Rogan went further, calling Joshua one of the most terrifying men in boxing, and questioning the risk of Jake stepping in with a man who destroys world-class fighters while Jake's only experience came from retired legends and exhibitions. His power isn't just a threat to Jake's chin, it's a threat to his entire career and
You take a guy who just had a boxing match that looks like a sparring match with a 58-year-old Mike Tyson, and then you're going to fight one of the absolute scariest knockout artists in the heavyweight division. Maybe we should watch the Francis Ngannou fight so you could see. Let's watch that real quick, just so you can see what Anthony Joshua is capable if he's fighting someone that's not in his league. Okay, look, Usyk beat him, and he beat him twice, and Andy Ruiz caught him in the first fight and dropped him and stopped him. It was spectacular. Andy Ruiz is super fucking talented. Usyk is...
The Wade concept dropped a brutal truth. Getting knocked out once by Anthony Joshua might be safer for Jake Paul than surviving 8 rounds of punishment. One clean shot ends the fight. Multiple rounds of heavy strikes could end a career. Even with the 10-ounce gloves meant to balance the matchup, Joshua's power is still a disaster waiting to happen. Smaller gloves don't change experience. They don't change danger. They just make every punch more violent. Ryan Garcia warned that this fight could change Jake Paul's life forever. Joshua's power isn't just a threat to Jake's chin, it's a threat to confidence and maybe the future he built in boxing. Garcia said it best, this fight is a test of what Jake Paul truly is.
Only one outcome that can hurt Jake in this scenario, and that's that he gets viciously knocked out. Or he gets beat up really bad for 8 rounds and then viciously knocked out. I saw Nikisa talking on Ariel Helwani's show today about this, about like how it's not necessarily something they're worried about that Jake gets knocked out, because he's not Jake getting beat up for 8 rounds, some real cognitive damage. And there is science behind the fact that the more repeated head trauma is the more dangerous thing about pro boxing, because those gloves, you can get hit, you get 8 to 10 seconds to stand, and you can repeat it 2-3 times in the same fight, just absorbing punch after punch. So in the totality of Jake getting like cold, is that the worst thing possible for his health? I mean, who knows, dude? You could have a freaking brain aneurysm when you get hit off one shot from a guy like AJ. Again, knock on wood, you don't want to see any of that happen. If his career ends because AJ hurts him badly, then yes. But if it's a knockout where Jake is able to then continue fighting, people will still watch. It may not be as big as the AJ fight, but he still has an opportunity to make money in boxing. Again, the only way it wouldn't be the case is if Jake got like permanently injured from this fight, which is part of the reason that they take this fight, is because Jake doesn't really have anything to lose here outside of, again, the bodily harm. You know, you fight a guy like Tommy Fury again, which I want to see, I think is more competitive, but doesn't bring the eyes that AJ does. So again, this is the entertainment business, and these Netflix fights are made for a mass. But you lose to Tommy Fury again, even by decision, that deflates Jake more than a knockout from Anthony Joshua. A loss to KSI deflates Jake more than a loss to Anthony Joshua. This is a perfect, even if Jake would have gotten just schooled by Gervonta Davis, it would have deflated him more than a knockout, I think. But yeah, it's a lot of risk, a lot of reward, but as far as your mark...
Nakisa Badarian finally revealed why Netflix picked Anthony Joshua over every other heavyweight. They needed the perfect opponent to create the biggest storyline in boxing. AJ has worldwide star power, world championship pedigree, and a storyline that explodes on camera. Netflix didn't want a fight, they wanted a cinematic moment. And Joshua is the only fighter who can deliver it. In a fight, it's losing momentum, fan base, confidence.
Included Terrence Crawford, that included Ryan Garcia, that included Tommy Fury, that included Anthony Joshua. And we probably had, I don't know, 30 or 40 names that we kind of reviewed and I will say at least 12 or 13 names that agreed to do the fight, some within the 2-week period, actually. But from a Netflix perspective, they were very keen on Joshua. They were interested on Crawford. They were interested in Ryan Garcia as potential opponents for Jake Paul. They were interested in Tommy Fury at some level as well. And the one that Jake gravitated towards was Anthony Joshua. Once it became clear Ryan couldn't do the fight as well, Ryan was also something that he was interested in doing. And the deal came together mostly because Jake mentioned this as of March of this year, right? That's the first time he was on a podcast and said, I think I can beat Anthony Joshua. Everyone laughed. At the time, Eddie Hearn said this is another, media attention-seeking moment for Jake Paul. I made it clear then to Eddie and to the media, Jake was serious and we wanted to do it in 2026. We had further conversations with Matchroom in July of this year with the understanding that if Jake got through Tank Davis, and even though that was an exhibition, it was very much structured to be a real fight in every way, shape, and form, then we would look to make Jake versus Joshua in 2026. So that gave us a head start in terms of trying to come to an agreement with Matchroom and AJ, and we were able to get it done.
I just want to ask about a couple of those names that you mentioned. Garcia's interesting because a day or so later, Oscar De La Hoya said he's a DAZN fighter.
Ryan Garcia warned that this fight could change Jake Paul's life forever. Joshua's power isn't just a threat to Jake's chin, it's a threat to his entire career and reputation. A loss here isn't just losing a fight. It's losing momentum, fan base, confidence, and maybe the future he built in boxing. Garcia said it best, this fight is a test of what Jake Paul truly is. To his entire career and reputation. A loss here isn't just losing.
I think that this has been a misstep from Jake. I think he wanted to make his partners at Netflix a little too happy, and he's gonna walk into it. But look it, he loses to AJ. Where does he go from here? Who does he fight? You gonna go back down to 135?
The problem is not that he loses to AJ. The problem is the way he's gonna lose to AJ might be life changing.
Right.
So that's the real issue.
It could be life changing in many ways, right? Physically.
Yeah.
See what he did in Nagano. It's like, but then again, if he gets knocked out.
Frank Martin said the quiet part out loud. Yes, Jake Paul is making massive money, but money doesn't protect you from damage. This isn't a celebrity match. This is a real heavyweight who has been to war with world champions. The payday is huge, but the danger is bigger. Jake Paul didn't just take a fight. He took the biggest physical risk of his life. Really get opportunities this big.
I wouldn't consider him like a YouTube fighter no more. I feel like he put in the time. He gotten better throughout all his fights. He done got better throughout all those fights, But it's still when you fighting fighters who actually done it for their whole life, it's a little different. If that fight happened, it'll be a good money fight. It'll be a good money fight. But that's a tough task for, Jake going to get that big ass heavyweight AJ. I know AJ personally, so that's.
Johnny Nelson believes this could be the final fight of Jake Paul's career if it goes wrong. Jake is the one bringing the big money to boxing. But if he gets knocked out violently, everything changes: future fights, opportunities, and even his draw power. The conspiracy theories are already starting. Some say this fight might be the last time we see Jake Paul in the ring. To Francis Ngannou turning down Jake Paul. AJ said it was a mistake. Fighters rarely
Betwixt in between, because nobody on this green earth would actually turn down 50-60 million to fight Jake Paul. And people that don't like this will probably watch it because they want to see Jake Paul getting knocked out. So what's it say about AJ and what's it say about Jake Paul? I think I was thinking upside down. For AJ, I thought, my man's cashing out. He's cashing out because he's going down this minute line. But I thought, in reality, is he? Realistically, he's thinking, you know what? This big mouth YouTuber stroke boxer has the cheek to call me out, I'd be pissed off at that, if I'm honest with you. I'd be upset if I was AJ, thinking, that's disrespect, man. You think you can deal with me? But he didn't. AJ was jovial and he commended Jake Paul's business acumen, saying, we've sat down, the deal's been done. But still, it just leaves an odd taste in your mouth. So as long as AJ gets the job done, and I mean gets the job done, shows his world-class pedigree, and wipes this boy out, then everybody's happy. But how does it enhance his career? The only way it enhances his career is financially. That's it. No other way. There's no props from beating Jake Paul, apart from saying, thank God you shut him up. For Jake Paul now, I got to give this boy props, because he now has to our sponsors, Bet Goodwin, for supporting that boxing show. Now, if you're interested in having a little flutter, or as I call it after my dad, Benji's Bets, Bet Goodwin's the place to be. Check what's going to happen. But I'm struggling. I'm thinking, this boy can't be so stupid. But then you hear a whisper. You hear a whisper that Jake Paul himself might be cashing out, because the big purses that he's pulling, fighting these has-beens or ex-fighters, they're dropping slowly but surely. So maybe, just maybe, this might be his last fight, getting in there with Anthony Joshua and getting knocked out. But there's always that conspiracy theory. Are there some contract agreements that can and cannot be done, which will never see the light of day, that we don't know about? Well, if you're an ex-fighter, and if you like the fight game, you'll see fake. You'll know fake when you see it. So if there's any of that fakery going on with this, pulling a shot, taking it easy, giving man a bit of a breather, especially coming from AJ, I'd be disappointed, because AJ's brand.
Anthony Joshua even responded to Francis Ngannou turning down Jake Paul. AJ said it was a mistake. Fighters rarely get opportunities this big. Cheyenne echoed the thought, saying Ngannou walked away from prestige, money, and exposure. Joshua reminded the world, boxing is about timing. And turning down a massive platform fight might be Ngannou's biggest regret. Anthony Joshua even responded to
fight against Jake Paul. Anthony Joshua takes the fight against Jake Paul. Anthony Joshua at the press conference gets asked his opinion of Francis not taking the fight against Jake Paul. And Joshua's like, he's an idiot. He's an idiot. There is no reason for him to not take this match. I cannot be and am not mad at Francis. I can't be. Like rules would preclude me from being upset with Francis. I'm not a big Francis fan. Francis fan. I'm not a Francis supporter. So I want to hurt Francis. I want to do something to hurt him. Well, his own actions took $10 million out of his bank account, of which, by the way, could use $10 million. So I can't be mad at him. If I teased him, and by God, get in there and he go, oh my gosh, I heard Chael and I heard from all the Eagles, and what was I thinking? And Joshua's out, and this is my chance of redemption. Hey, put me in, Jake. That would then help him. That would be positive for Francis. That would create envy as well as jealousy from outside observers like me. But I will tell you, trying to break down and understand how we got to this conclusion is mind-boggling. You ever met a writer? Your whole life, have you ever met a writer? Maybe went to college for it and they're a writer. Do you want to know the hardest thing in the world that person's going to have to do